Watch Jerome Powell take some very tough questions now from one person at this meeting. I think what you're going to see now will shock you. It gets quite political. Remember, we've got an election around the corner, so what you're about to see now gets quite heated and difficult for Jerome Powell. In fact, he gets dragged over the coals. You decide whether he comes out on the other side okay. And now for a highlight as part of Jerome Powell's testimonial speech today.
Mr. Chairman, our economy is slowing, is it not?
Yes, although still growing at a solid pace.
Our unemployment rate is rising, is it not?
Yes, it is, although the labor market is still strong.
Our labor market is slowing, is it not?
Yes, but I'd say unemployment is still, low by historical standards. But yes, it is. We've seen cooling. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I was looking at the recent jobs numbers. I know you've glanced at them too. About 3/4 of the net new jobs that were created in June were in government, healthcare, and social assistance. What does that tell you?
So that's a concentration. You'd rather see broader job creation than that. Those three areas have, in some reports, they've been, as it was this time, they've been the predominant creators of jobs. That tells you that job creation is becoming less broad in the economy and it's narrowing.
It tells you that government's creating those jobs, doesn't it?
Well, it's government. It's also in-person services. It's also some of it's government.
Manufacturing's been flat.
Yes, manufacturing's not creating a lot of new jobs these days.
Information technology shed jobs over the past 2 years, hasn't it?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Leisure and hospitality jobs have slowed to almost a trickle.
So that's a place where there was a desperate worker shortage, and they've done quite a bit of hiring, but they're catching up now.
I mean, three-quarters of the jobs that are being created in our economy can be related directly or indirectly to our spending deficits, can't they?
In this report, in this single report, I don't know that healthcare is really government spending. I mean, that's something people are consuming.
Where do you think these hospitals get their money?
They may get it, but I mean, people are not. The spending on healthcare is not necessarily directly related to deficits. Is my point.
I would disagree with you. I mean, here's my point. We talk a lot about expectations in terms of inflation. How if we expect there to be inflation, we'll get inflation. It seems to me that consumer expectations play a bigger role in the economy than we cede to them. Most of our economy in America is consumer driven, is it not?
Yes.
Unlike, say, China, which is manufacturing driven.
Very much so.
And I listened to you cite the statistics about the economy, but most Americans don't feel good about the economy, do they?
No, and we don't tell people how to feel about the economy.
I mean, isn't it a fact that most people, if you ask them to define Bidenomics, they would say that's easy. We get to pay more to live worse.
I wouldn't touch
you don't want to answer that
a sentence with that word in it.
Yeah. I mean, we can pretty this up all I guess my point is, and I know you're going to do this anyway, but I'd be really careful with this economy. I mean, people just don't feel better off today. And one can marshal a persuasive argument that, well, you should, compared to Europe or compared to China, compared to Canada. But feelings are feelings. People don't feel good about this economy. And it's primarily because of inflation. Let me use my final 30 seconds to ask you. I listened to my good friend, the chairman, give his opening statement. Do you think inflation was caused by corporate greed?
I hate to comment on something the chairman was speaking about.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, so I will just say, we see at the Fed, we see inflation as when there's an imbalance between supply and demand. And we use our tools to work on the demand side of that and bring it back into line with supply.
I got 2 seconds. So when are you going to lower interest rates?
I'm today not going to be sending any signals about the timing of any future actions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So what do you make of that? Quite a moment right there, don't you agree? Leave me your thoughts below in the comments. Click above my head for further information, down below in the description, over here and over here for more information.